When an exiled Pakistani politician was recently murdered in London, fallout hours to reach Karachi, Pakistan's biggest city. Protesters took to the streets, businesses closed, police went on high alert. Why? Because the man killed was Farooq, one of the founders of the MQM, the dominant party in Karachi and an organization with a controversial history. My guest today, Muhammad Anwar, is a senior official in the MQM's International Secretariat. Is his party perpetuating Pakistan's ethnic strife? Muhammad Anwar, welcome.
Thank you for inviting me.
In with the brutal murder of Dr. Imran Farooq just outside his London home. What was his significance within the party?
Great significance. We've lost a great leader, and he was very near and dear and very, very close to us. It would have an impact on the party because he was one of the stalwarts, and we are going to greatly miss him.
You knew him quite well.
Very well, very well.
Was he concerned for his security?
I will be extremely honest, because none of us, except security of Mr. Hussain, we were always
the leader,
we were always concerned of, and but we never felt that our lives, the members of the coordination committee, of which Dr. Imran Farooq was the convener, that our life and liberty over here in UK never conceived it, and extremely unfortunate.
So Dr. Farooq did not have security, did not have bodyguards. We know that Altaf Hussain has many bodyguards.
Well, he has because
he does not.
He has because he was always under threat, and quite some time ago, even the British police had intercepted someone when I was in Geneva several years ago, and they said they have intercepted someone to London. So in the backdrop of all those, and also the threat from the Taliban coming from religious extremists and other forces.
Already introduced the idea of, are you saying to me that you are convinced that Dr. Farooq's murder was political assassination, and he was targeted?
I be speculative because the police are investigating, and I hope their investigation comes to a swift conclusion and they arrest the culprit, whosoever it may be, political, non-political, but I hope there is no political element in it, because it would have...
The police clearly suspect there is. They've been counter-terror units, so that's the way they are.
It would be extremely sad if there is, because basically if the idea was to weaken the resolve of the MQM and of Mr. Altaf Hussain, that none of the sort would happen, and it would strengthen our resolve that we would continue with our ideology, which is to dismantle the political feudal system invoked in the inception of the country. We would go unwavered towards that route, and nothing would weaken us.
Well, I want to talk about your political program, but I've got a very basic question for you, Mr. Anwar. Why are you here? Why are you in London? Why is Mr. Altaf Hussain here in London? Why was Dr. Farooq before his murder? Why was he in London? Committed to this Pakistani political project in London?
We do not want to lose Mr. Altaf Hussain, or for that matter, we never wanted to lose Imran Farooq, like People's Party supporters and members lost Ms. Benazir Bhutto. So therefore, their life was... Hussain came here as a result of an assassination attack when he went back from here after the medical checkup in 1990. There was an attack on him, and afterwards the center of the MQM advised him to leave, otherwise he would have been killed.
I think many people watching this will be confused because you're suggesting to me it's simply not safe for you and Mr. Hussain and others in the senior echelons of the party to be inside Pakistan, and yet the MQM is operating openly as a political party inside the country. It's part of the governing coalition. You have 25 seats in the National Assembly. You're a key member of the coalition run Sindh, control the city of Karachi.
50 seats in the Provincial Assembly of Sindh. This is a paradox, isn't it? We need to understand that, because
well, more than a paradox, it doesn't make any sense at all. How can you are simply not safe to be in Pakistan, and yet your colleagues are helping to run the province and the country?
Feudal politics is because of the feudal system. We are in the coalition because there cannot be not cooperated, and we are also in coalition all the time that to make sure that democracy flourish and in Pakistan. Being in coalition, is still the ruling elite always fear us because of our ideology that we want to dismantle the established order, which is the feudal system, which has rendered country virtually poor and bankrupt.
You're talking about ideology. I would suggest to you that your party, the MQM, more than anything else, is a sectarian party. Would you agree with that?
No, I would not agree with you. Now it is not. Yes, initially when it was formed, it was because the Muhajirs were marginalized in all sphere of life. Having, you know that Pakistan was created because of the struggle of the Muslims from the
Pakistan
Hindu-dominated
when India was at war. There was a war between the Muslims and the Hindus. We saw the creation of the state in 1947, and many Urdu-speaking people from what became India moved to what became Pakistan. Many of them moved to Karachi. Many of them were called Muhajirs, and the formation of your political movement is based upon those Muhajir communities, particularly in Sindh, particularly in Karachi. Yes?
It was right because it was formed, because as I said, that having created, we were being marginalized by the ruling elite who controlled the Pakistani politics on the yoke of power, because the bureaucracy later on was taken over by them, and the military behind the bureaucracy took over, and we were marginalized. Therefore Mr. Hussain started
with the now Farooq as well.
Yes,
so these two men were crucial in the formation of
all Pakistan Muhajir Students Organization, because they were denied admission into the university.
I understand
while they were the rest, and they had every right.
Amongst your people that they were.
Now I will quickly come back, because we were then, but now we are a national mainstream party. We have.
But you're not, though, are you?
We are.
We are. We're not national mainstream. We are. Still very clearly. We are. Not at all. Not at all. We are. I'll tell you why. Because we have 2 seats in the national, legislative assembly of Kashmir, Azad Kashmir. We have 2 seats there, and we have 1 seat in Gilgit and Baltistan. I know so that, therefore, but the preponderance of your seats and your political support still lies in Sindh, and in particular in the city of Karachi, which you control.
That in fact is a propaganda against us.
Well, it's the truth.
No, it's not the truth.
I mean, if I may, is not the point that what we have seen since the tragic death of Dr. Farooq on the streets of London is a new and harsh light put upon the MQM and its role in Pakistani politics? And if one is honest about it, Pakistan would be much better, would it not, if the sort of sectarian communal politics that the MQM has long represented was banished.
The sectarian politics, MQM actually helped end the sectarianism. Since the emergence of MQM, the sectarian is stopped in Karachi, the Shiite, the Sunnis, and this and that. The ethnic politics...
In the last couple of months, we've seen sectarian killings, sectarian killings like we haven't seen in Karachi for a decade. Those are the words of human rights groups who monitor the violence that we see inside Karachi.
Absolutely. To malign our image, this is perpetrated with a design, with a motive, because they want to show the Karachi as a violent city because it is our backbone, and therefore they want to portray to the world that this is a violent city because of the MQM.
Well, if you say the MQM is fundamentally changed, why is it that the leader of your party, Altaf Hussein, is still in place, albeit now in exile in London, the very man who through the 1980s and the early 1990s is most closely associated with a terrible period of political violence which has been put firmly at the door of the MQM?
That is again, and you've asked me this question, and I would be grateful if you give me reasonable time to explain. You see, the army operation started on 19th June 1992.
Operation Cleanup, they called it. Operation because Karachi was in a terrible mess.
No.
And the MQM was deemed by the army, by the political establishment, and by a range of human rights groups to be responsible for a wave of killings, of torture. I've been checking. I mean, I want to read this to you because I think it's quite important.
All right.
I want you to respond to this.
It should not be just one way.
Of course it shouldn't. So respond to this. I went back to the Pakistani media. In 1992, I found a report from a reporter in Dawn newspaper called Ghulam Hasnain. He described going inside a building which was, and I'm quoting the newspaper, the MQM's biggest chamber of torture in the Landi neighborhood in Karachi. He described a huge steel structure, 5 nooses hanging from the ceiling. There were iron bars, chains, there were gadgets used for torture. One wall was reserved for shooting. A sign asked the guards inside to use silencers when they opened fire. And he described bloodstains, particles of human skin on the walls, and this was an MQM torture chamber.
Okay. Your question is finished? So hopefully that I would get a reasonable time, because your question deserves a reasonable answer for people to understand. Now the thing is that MQM is party of educated people. If they were engaged in such atrocities, do you think they would leave traces behind and proofs behind? Now, let me explain to you what happened. Before 19th June 1992, Karachi and Sindh enjoyed peace. It was the rural Sindh which had the problem with the robbers, highway robbers, etc. And the Operation Cleanup, if you ask Mr. Nawaz Sharif, do not shake your head, do listen to me.
I'm listening.
Okay. And if you ask Mr. Nawaz Sharif, who was present in the briefing which was given by the then Chief of the Army Staff, he had clearly said that this was going to be an operation against 72 fishes. They had evolved the term 72 fishes, which were all feudal lords, etc., not directed against the MQM, but it was in fact directed against the MQM. There was absolutely peace. There was not a single charge against Mr. Hussain or any leader of the MQM before 19th June 1992. All were fabricated after 19th June 1992 to crush the MQM, which was party of the commoner, and the politics in Pakistan is controlled by the... Let me finish.
You've made a very clear point. You deny absolutely all the media reports, the human rights reports, the governmental reports, not just from Pakistani sources, but from the United States, from Canada, from many other sources, who over the years, and 1992 in particular, have pointed a finger at the MQM and said they were responsible for the most terrible round of torture, killings, and communal violence. Now,